All right, we're on to our final week now. So we'll do a quick lecture on multi-casualty and smart triage. This is just going to be a broad overview, and then there's a tutorial document attached to the Moodle site on this week as well that you'll need to run through to get some practice at doing this. So when you arrive at a multi-casualty event, as an on-road officer, you're just going to have to worry about sieve and sort. And these are just the ways to initially tag patients and then to initially decide who's going to go to hospital first. So when you arrive at a multi-casualty event, you're going to first of all identify that this is a multi-casualty event. So very early, you need to give your windscreen sit rep, which includes your danger survey, if there's smoke, if there's chemicals, if there's been some sort of blast or possible terrorism event. This is when you want to start letting comms know of these potential hazards. And you want to straight up identify that this is a multi-casualty event so that there are various behind the scenes procedures and policies and plans in place that will immediately get stood up, and people will start being assigned to them, senior managers will start getting called in. All the behind the scene things that make a multi-casualty go well will be able to start very early if you identify it early. So you want to decide who's the scene commander. So there'll only be two of you in the car, you and your partner, and you're just going to pick, generally you pick the person who's the most senior officer. So if you're a brand new graduate and your partner's been in a couple of years, they're going to be the scene commander. And that means that you're going to be the person going around actually doing the sieving. So you'll have and we'll show you these at the res school hopefully, the smart triage tags, and we're going to go over these in the lecture as well. So you'll go around and start tagging patients. The scene commander, who's the senior officer, doesn't touch patients. That's really important for a multi-cas scene to run well. If the scene commander gets involved and starts doing stuff, it's very tempting to do that in a resource austere environment. They lose situational awareness and the scene will generally devolve. So the scene commander has to stand back, and their job is to coordinate and control things. So they're going to provide a methane sit rep to comms. Methane stands for confirmation of a major incident, that's the M, the exact location of the incident, the type of incident, the hazards identified, access via, like where is the best access to get on the scene, the number of patients, and other emergency resources required. There's a very good CPG on the multi-casualty event, which is, I'll attach to the Moodle page from QAS. Has all this information in it as well. And the other thing the scene commander is going to do is, while their offsider is out actually tagging patient, they're going to start creating a casualty clearing area. So as more ambulances arrive, the scene commander, who's standing back, keeping their hands clean, will assign officers to roles. So they'll say, we need to keep tagging these patients. When they're all tagged, we need to start moving them to the casualty clearing area, just keeping everything flowing, keeping comms updated, making sure that they're in a coordination role. I'll show you on the next page a picture of a casualty clearing area, but what will actually happen is you'll have separate coloured areas. So you'll have red, either a tent or a tarp on the ground, a yellow area and a green area, and then a black area too for patients who are deceased on scene. So you need to tag the patients on the scene and then move them to their appropriate areas. So all the reds, or the most critical patients, go together, yellows go together, greens go together. And at this point, the scene commander, hopefully you'll have enough people there, other ambulances will have arrived, needs to assign a triage officer. And the triage officer is going to be responsible for that casualty clearing area. So they'll oversee, so the sieve will be done, they'll oversee the sort, which I'm going to explain, organise who's going to go, get all the reds out of there, then get all the yellows out, and then finally organise for the greens to go. So the scene commander doesn't have to worry about patient triaging. They assign a triage officer who just manages that section of it. So the scene commander can continue to work with other agencies and work with comms, work with other senior managers for all the behind the scenes stuff. So this is an example of what I mean by casualty clearing area. So you can see that there's separate areas. So these are the greens, the walking wounded. These are the yellow, the delayed treatment, and these are the reds, the priority treatment. Now, it doesn't look ideal that you want to have the reds have the best access to the ambulance, but I assume this has been set up fairly quickly. But this is what a casualty clearing area will actually look like. So smart triage tags. When you open a triage kit, a multi-cas triage kit, you'll have these, you'll have a couple of dozen of these in there. And the paper folds in such a way that you can always put one of the colours and one of the numbers, 1, 2, 3, facing up. So what you want to do is do your initial sieve of the patient, decide what category they are, and then fold the paper in such a way so if this patient was a yellow, like a delayed treatment of priority 2, that's facing up. So the next person who comes along, when it's time to move, if the scene commander has said, after everyone's been tagged, go in and get out all of the reds, people can at a glance see who they have to grab. Now, as the process continues, you can put in patient details, vital signs, and it's all just kept in that one pouch. So I've talked about sieve and sort. This is what sieve is. So sieve is used to determine which area of the casualty clearing area you're going to take the patient to. So when you arrive, straight away you want to see if the patient's able to walk. If they are, you're done. You tell them to go to the green area, or if they are completely uninjured, you have a separate area. You don't want people to leave the scene, you need to account for everyone. If they're injured, they need to just go to the green area. If they're not injured, just tell them to go outside to the survivor reception area. If that hasn't been established yet, just tell them to go outside and remain on scene. If they're not able to walk or if they're unconscious, you want to check if they're breathing. If they're not breathing, you open the airway. And if they're still not breathing, you're done. They're dead. If they are breathing, you check their respiratory rate. If it's over 30 or under 10, they become a red and you tag them as a red. If it's a normal rest rate or a relatively normal rest rate between 10 and 29, you continue down and you check their pulse. And then depending on what their pulse is, you assign them either priority 1 or priority 2. Now after everyone's been sieved, so everybody's got a tag, a green, red or yellow tag attached to them, everyone gets moved to their area. So you have all the reds together, all the yellows, all the greens together. And after that you sort patients. So this is a little bit more detailed. So people at the casualty clearing post, they'll have paramedics in the red and yellow area, will start to fill out this section of the tag. So they'll do their GCS, plus their respiratory rate, plus their blood pressure. And then at the end of that, they'll get a score and that can change their tag. So if they were initially a yellow, but then the sort scores them as a red, they become a red and they need to be moved to the red area and treated as a red so that they get treated more quickly. Now, as I said, because you guys are going to be on-road paramedics, we're only training you in the initial low-level multi-casualty event. So you're going to be worrying about sieve and sort and good communication. For bigger events, senior managers have something called emergo training, which is advanced training for multi-casualty events. And that covers all sorts of stuff that's not going to affect you. So organising surge capacity, secondary comm centres, notifying the hospital so they can activate their multi-cas plans. And that's all very important, but it's not something that you guys are going to have to do. So if you do become senior managers down the track, you'll be given this sort of specialised training.